starts with that 44-point third quarter lead the Dubs had. A 44-point third quarter, an 18-point lead. Then the fourth quarter collapsed, just 20 points. And then the ball back in Nikola Jokic's hands. He tied the game. He won the game. Can we see that final shot? Look, I know it's painful, but let's review this. Remove yourself from what you know about Jokic. This is a center hitting a 39-foot three-pointer. What? He like shot putted that thing over his head. Look at his shooting motion and how improbable this was. Yes, he is a two-time MVP, but this shot was absolutely wild. And this is one of the worst finishes of the season for the Warriors, an absolute gut punch. What are you thinking about how this game ended?
So it's interesting. Earlier in the... It's interesting.
Anytime you say that, I'm just going to put this microphone down.
So, okay, look at this. Let's just look at this graphic right now. Biggest lead. Here are 18-plus point leads that they're ending in losses. And we're going to talk about the fact that the Warriors have struggled this season. I mean, KB, baby girl, you were watching this from home, but we've been going through this. We've been going through it, okay? This is what we've been seeing, all right? This is what we're used to, unfortunately. The Warriors not being able to close out in clutch moments. Even though they've gotten Stephen Curry, you saw that tonight, that actually wasn't the key. When you think about a tie ball game, you think about clutch minutes. You think about who do I want to have the ball in their hands? It's Stephen Curry, of course. And of course, he ends up being the person that has the fatal intercepted turnover at the very end of the game, trying to make a cross-court pass to Andrew Wiggins. It's not what you would expect. It's not what you would want, but it happens. Then, like you said, I don't know. I'm just imagining what it feels like to be out there. I've been in situations where we've lost games that we were up. And what it really feels like is like whiplash. It's very disorienting in the moment because you have a moment where you literally think about the Warriors. You are up 15, then 18. You're chest bumping, going to timeouts. You have all the energy and the momentum forward, and you're jovial. You're having a great time. Everyone's like just enjoying themselves. And then you look up, and your fate is resting in the hands of a two-time MVP center whose shot release is like a rainbow arc. And here you are. There's nothing you can do other than just hope, hold your breath, and see where it lands. And that is very disorienting. It's very much like a, what the heck just happened? And like we've seen, it's happened several times this season.
Okay, show's over. No, I mean, I asked Steve Kerr, what did you think about Jokic's shot? He had the ball in his hands with about 4 seconds left, so he had to come up the court. Looney was on him the whole time. Steve said it didn't look like it was going to go in. He thought it was long, but it banked in. And
from my angle, which was facing that shot, I actually thought it was going in the whole time. It looked on target. Now, what's interesting about that, and I love to say interesting, but what is like, you want to look at the stats, going into the fourth quarter, the Nuggets were 6 of 20 from three. They were not shooting the ball well. They were literally at 30%. And the Warriors had stepped up their perimeter defense, had done a great job. To imagine that Jokic only had 2 threes this whole game, and it's that one, the dagger, the devastating dagger that he hits. I mean, it hurts.
All right.
It's painful.
More things to digest because, as you mentioned, Steph's turnovers, he only had 2 in this game. One of them was absolutely devastating. We need to mention that in the fourth quarter, Aaron Gordon came on, 30 points, 15 of those in that final frame. And then to your point about these clutch games, you guys have been talking about this all season, 27 clutch games for the Warriors. They are now 13 and 14. And there were just some puzzling things in this game, in that late fourth quarter collapse there. We didn't see Jonathan Kuminga come in the final 18 minutes of the game. He was a starter in this game. Where did he go? That question came up post-game with Steve Kerr. Here was the answer.
He was playing great, and you know, his normal time to go back in would have been around the 5-6 minute mark. And Wiggs was playing great, and we were rolling. We're up 18, 19, whatever it was, and so we just stayed with him. And then at that point, it didn't feel like it was the right thing to do. He'd been sitting for a while, so I stayed with the group that was out there, and obviously, we couldn't close it out.
He was sitting for a while. It didn't feel right to go back to him. We stayed with the group that we had. Okay. we know Jonathan Kuminga can be a spark. Something is not adding up to me with Steve's answer there. And wasn't there that game, I think it was Portland game, December 7th? Jonathan Kuminga looked like he was going to be a DMP, but then he went in at the end, was 6 of 6, was the spark that helped win that game. This is not adding up to me, because you also see something puzzling like Looney and Saric on the floor at the same time. Like, what were they doing with the combinations in the fourth quarter? I don't know.
It's a great question.
Okay.
I don't know either, because it is very hard to contemplate why someone like Jonathan Kuminga, who's always had energy, who's always been able to play regardless of if he's been sitting, if he's not been sitting, he's always been able to show up. And he was showing up all game tonight. He was making great decisions offensively, whether it was for his own production or the production of his teammates. And he was hounding Jamal Murray. And I know Jamal Murray ended up with 25, but he didn't get those easy. He was definitely challenged by Kuminga. And so it was very confusing to see him sit and then to make the explanation that it just didn't make sense at the time. And I'm sure that he's not going to be satisfied with that answer. And I'm sure that Steve Kerr is going to probably review that internally and be like, okay, maybe that wasn't enough of a good answer of like why we didn't play him. But I definitely would have expected Jonathan Kuminga to close out in that time, particularly because Aaron Gordon was going off.
Yeah, were the Warriors going for size, for rebounding, for like, I'm trying to figure out the reasons in my head, trying to add it up, and it's all unsatisfactory. Have I said that word a few times? Unsatisfactory.
You haven't used it too much yet, but I think it's a great word.
Sure.
You're just not satisfied with that response, or you're not satisfied with that explanation. And with Looney and Saric, I will say, Saric had a wonderful game tonight.